All right, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
This month, we're going to spend the entire month talking about grace. And you're probably thinking, man, that's a lot of talking about grace. Grace is sort of the saving grace of who and whose we are. Grace is always present, always available, always. But it's up to us to recognize it and to receive it. And that's the hard part, right? When things are sort of like crashing, to take a breath and just allow space for grace to move in. Because it requires space to operate, as Pete shared this morning. So today, I want to start with this whole idea of race consciousness and how grace can raise us, guide us, keep us safe and sound beyond race consciousness. So, race consciousness. Let's start with what that is, just in case you don't know. Grace consciousness is the collective beliefs, the feelings, the thoughts, the fears, the prayers from generation through generation through generation. It is that collective belief. And it contains a lot of struggle, a lot of scarcity, a lot of separation. And yes, there's love and peace in there, but there's a lot of not enough. And we inherit these beliefs from society, from family, from friends. You know, if you want to have more race consciousness, open up a magazine, any magazine, to see, you know, where you're not enough, where we're not enough. And if we remain unaware of this, it can shape our reality. We can start to buy into that. And some of us have families that have bought into it, friends that have bought into it, co-workers. But we don't need to buy into it. We are not bound by it because we're spiritual beings. And we are not only clearly aware of the infinite possibilities that we have, but we are willing to go deeper, to uncover that. If we weren't willing to go deeper, we wouldn't be here together. We wouldn't be part of this community. We wouldn't be spending time in spiritual practice, in gathering together to support each other. We do all of this because not only do we want to become more aware of our spiritual essence, but we want everyone else to as well. It's not a solo sport, as they say. We are not bound by race consciousness. We can transcend it. And when we do, people notice. They don't know what they notice, but they kind of like hanging out with us. Because we're sort of putting that good mojo, there's more than enough mojo, into that race consciousness. Drip by drip, as it hits the stone, it gradually wears it down. And this is where grace comes in. Grace, that ever-present energy. I'm going to call it an energy because that's really what it is. It's not earned, but it's freely given. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, defines grace so beautifully. Grace is the givingness of spirit to its creation. It is not something that we earn, but we must recognize and accept it. Grace. It moves through us. It dissolves the yuck. And it's like the divine hand of love. It makes our path easy. It is constantly inviting us to a greater freedom, to be who we're here to be that authentic love of the world. But when we have to open ourselves up to it and we have to align to it. And that's what I want to talk about today. Moving beyond appearance to a higher spiritual truth that includes grace working for us. So today I want to look at how grace allows us, supports us, and moves us from fear to love, lack to abundance, limitation to freedom, separation to oneness, and most importantly, from judgment to forgiveness. So, race consciousness is sort of steeped in fear. Fear of generations, if you think about it. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of unworthiness, fear of whatever, fill in the blank, right? But what if grace is that whisper that says, you are enough? That little small voice that says, oh, you've got this. You so have this. So just breathe and allow me to dissolve the fear. What if that is grace? For me, that is grace at its finest, at its simplest, at the one thing it is best at. Because when grace says, you are enough, you are more than enough, when that little voice happens, love moves in. And that's the highest vibration we want, right? And at that high vibration, oh, it is so sweet. Even if it's just for a moment. That's all it takes is one moment. Marianne Williamson reminds us, love is what we were born with. Fear is what we have learned here. It's not natural. Which takes us from lack to abundance. And society conditions us to believe in scarcity, but there's plenty. There's plenty of good. There's plenty of time. There's plenty of worthiness. There's plenty of help and support and direction and guidance. There's just plenty of all of it. When we open up our eyes to see, when we seek the plenty, the abundance, right? When we seek to see the abundance in our life, we can't step back into the scarcity because we've already proven to ourselves that the infinite is just that, an infinite supply of so much. Ernest Holmes again. The universe is inexhaustible, it is limitless, knows no bounds, and has no confines. We ourselves attach ourselves to lack, to not enoughness. So we ourselves, with the help of everybody in the community, we can let go of it. So when it comes to freedom versus limitation, race consciousness relies on history, right? It's what's happened before, the thoughts and the beliefs, the feelings from before. So it's full of what we cannot do because we could not do that 100 years ago. We could not do that 10 years ago. Race consciousness is still back there playing 8 tracks, you guys. And we have moved so far beyond 8 tracks, right? What? Oh, no.
We were just, what? What's wrong with 8 tracks?
Nothing. Nothing's wrong with 8 tracks. 8 tracks are great if you can still play them. But so are MP3 files. I don't know. So are WAV files. So are, let's just stream it and call it done, right? My point is that we, each and every one of us, are the divine co-creator of our life. Take that in for a minute. I mean, just take that one in. We are not bound by precedent. We don't really need to be worried about what we could have, would have, should have in the past, because right here and right now, we can step out boldly as we want. It's completely up to us. How free is that? Totally free. 8 tracks, streaming, don't matter. We get to decide. We get to choose. We get to just step into that power. And as we step into that power, if we just take a beat and know that grace is right here where we are, saying, you got this. What can I say? It's our high potential. The poet Hafiz wrote, "Fear is the cheapest room in the house. I would like to see you in better living conditions." Right? It's time to move it on up to the east side, guys. It's just time. Which takes me to this whole idea of separation versus oneness. You know, there's some division going on in the world. There always has been. Them versus us. There's that focusing on what is our differences versus what brings us together. Race consciousness feeds into that. And when we surrender to grace, when we allow ourselves to recognize that every single one of us is an expression of the divine, we may not like how others are expressing their divinity, but it's their divinity. When we move out of judgment, we make space for respect to show up. We make space to remember that this life is just one big, beautiful dance, and we're all connected to it. We're all connected. Which is why when we step into grace, when we step into love and to peace and to joy, when we allow that to be our focus, we're bringing it up with us, all of it. We don't need any more hate. We need more love. We need more joy. We need more laughter. That's part of why I'm excited about May 16th, that Friday night we're going to gather here to celebrate our consciousness. As Reverend Joanne talks about, to bring more joy into our lives and share that joy with others. That is how we make a difference, by coming back to the oneness. Rumi, you were born with wings. Why prefer to crawl through life? When we're crawling, grace is just begging us to rise up. So one of the most powerful ways that grace moves through our life, I believe, is through forgiveness. Race consciousness allows us to think that it's okay to hold grudges, because everybody else has, right? It's okay to judge and compare ourselves. And what if it's not okay? What if it's okay instead to love ourselves, to forgive ourselves, to forgive others, to allow others to be what others are there to be, and not let it affect us? Anne Lamott wrote, "Not forgiving is like drinking rat poison and then waiting for the rat to die." Isn't it true, though? That judgment, that grudge, it could just eat away at us. And we just need to open up to that idea of grace, to lighten us, to allow us to become change agents in our own life, to allow us to love over fear, to recognize when we're in fear, and just say, not now. I got some loving to do. To recognize when we're starting to doubt ourselves and instead say, okay, I can doubt myself tomorrow. Today I'm going to trust. I'm going to trust in me. Grace is there to help us recognize that we're all brothers and sisters, and and us and thems and all of it. It's all part of the one. So I want to somewhat conclude with a story from Tyler Perry. We all know Tyler Perry, and this is an older story, but he wrote about it, and it just moved me. So he writes, once I was walking from my car to my studio, and a woman appeared, and I thought she was homeless, and she was walking straight towards me. And I'm ashamed to say this, but I thought, I don't feel like being hustled today. I just don't. And then I quickly let the guilt come in. So I started digging in my pocket for some money. And as she got closer, I noticed that she had the kindest eyes I've ever seen. As he was reaching into his pocket, she started to speak. And I thought, okay, here goes the sales pitch. But instead she said, "Excuse me, sir, I need some shoes. Can you help me?" At those words, his eyes filled with tears, because he remembered being out on the streets, having only one pair of really old, run-over shoes, and he was taken aback for a second. He goes on to say, "I composed myself, I took her inside the studio, and had my wardrobe people find her shoes and her size. As she put on the shoes, she started crying, praising God and thanking Jesus and saying, 'My feet are off the ground. My feet are off the ground.'" Several of the wardrobe people started crying. I was crying, and I thought, wow, all she wanted was some shoes. And then she quickly disappeared. I realized I still had the money in my hand, so I went looking for her. She had just gone so quickly, so I looked all around the neighborhood for her, and I found her standing at a corner, looking down at her shoes, crying and still saying, "My feet are off the ground. My feet are off the ground." I was so touched. I asked her how she had gotten homeless, and she told me that she had AIDS, and she was waiting to get into a shelter. She said her family had turned their backs on her, and she had no place to go, but she knew God would make a way for her. And I said to myself, He just did. Her faith, her praise moved me. I looked for a nearby hotel. I put her up. I had a staff member check on her from time to time to make sure she had food and clothes. And after about a month or so, we lost touch. But I never forgot her. He goes on to say, "This past summer I was shooting Daddy's Little Girl, and this woman walks up to me smiling. I didn't recognize her face, but her eyes were familiar. She had on a really nice dress, and her hair was done perfectly. It was her. I remembered. It was her. She told me that with the little help I had given her, it had changed her entire life." I tell this story for one reason. After I met this woman, every time I think about complaining or mumbling or judging, I remember these words: "My feet are off the ground." Isn't that beautiful? That is the grace we all have to use and to share. I've asked Scott and Victoria to play Amazing Grace for us. And I don't want us to clap at the end. We can clap later for them. I want you just to take this in as if it's a living prayer, a prayer that is sung. Take it in personally and just let it flow.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that lifts and sets me free. I once forgot my inner light, but now it's clear to me. Through seeming trials, through every storm, this love has led me through. It brought me strength, it kept kept me safe, and still it makes me new. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that lifts and sets me free. I once forgot my inner light, but now it's clear to me. I am a child of this universe. The ocean dances at my feet. The wind plays a melody through my hair. I am loved at every turn. I am kissed by Mother Earth. I am a child of this universe. The sun warms me in its embrace. The stars have aligned for me in the sky. I am honored by all life. I am held by Father Time. Every blade of grass, every shaking leaf on the tree, every mountain top sings of the glory of God moving through me. I am a child of this universe. Through my breath, all of life can breathe. I plant the seeds with my every dream. I can love at every turn. Give a kiss to Mother Earth. Yes, I am a child of this universe. I greet the God in each face. I am a channel for peace to flow. I honor all of life. Yes, I'm one with Father Time. To every blade of grass, to every shaking leaf on the tree, to every mountain top, I sing of the glory of God moving through all, moving as me, moving as you. Amazing grace.
Thank you. That is who we are. And that is what Spirit is expressing through us. So, the call to action this week is to consciously live in grace. To recognize that presence of grace. Because each time we acknowledge it, each time we become grateful for it, it strengthens our awareness of it. Say daily, join me in this. I walk in grace, I receive it fully and share it freely. Create an affirmation for grace. Create an affirmation that when you say it, you get to feel that grace. And then extend it. Forgive easier this week. Judge less. And then take some inspired action, because grace, it's not passive. There's nothing in our life that is passive. Everything opens us up to a greater expression of the divine. So join me as I close us out with a spiritual mind treatment. Let us just recognize that there is one presence, one divine intelligence. It is moving through all things. It is this presence that is grace itself. It is unearned, it's unlimited, it's ever-giving. And in this moment, I invite you to join me as I acknowledge that grace is consistently, constantly, powerfully flowing through all aspects. It is flowing into my heart, and it is expanding into a greater expression of love, of joy, of worthiness. As I open to grace, I release all idea of stress and struggle. I let go of any fear or worry or doubt, because I know that every step is guided. I know that I am willing to allow that guidance to be in my awareness at all times. That I move forward with clarity, focus, ease, all surrounded by the grace that is mine by divine birthright. And as I stand in my grace, I extend it to the world. I extend it to all. It is with deep gratitude, it is with a heart overflowing with love and blessings that I release these words knowing it's already done. I release these words knowing that all is well and all will be well, and so it is. Let's give a hand to our musician, shall we? Okay.